Big lab energy. That should be a shirt.
You could, dude, all the Instagram dog. You could have a dog account just for
It might.
You can make a killing.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got some sass. Being a black lab makes it difficult to see like on video, other than her white muzzle now.
I think that's why the Goldens have it made. Like, there's lots of golden accounts, right? Everyone likes
They
the
look
golden
identical,
retriever.
but the black fur, just the contrast, the cameras just can't handle it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the first episode of my official podcast, driven by Josiah. I have Mike Catell on as my first official guest. You guys probably saw some clips from Ethan and I. That was mostly just for a trial run basis. So Mike is the owner of GT Custom Exhaust, and we are just going to talk about whatever comes to mind. The point of the podcast, we did slightly cover it with Ethan, but because this is the first episode, you'll get a better idea. The purpose of this is to talk to like-minded people that do not specifically pertain to drifting, which is where my business, is. But driven applies to me racing, but it also applies to motivation, drive, what gets us up, what gets us going. So that is basically the intro to Mike. And the first question I'm going to ask you is...
We have questions. You're prepared.
Not official questions, but one that gets us started and then we'll probably never stop is...
That's how it works.
What gets you up and out of bed every day?
Up and out of bed is it's I want to wake up. I never put myself in a position. I feel a lot of people are stuck in that like I don't need it doesn't apply because I always want to get up out of bed. Like I love going to work. I love interacting with people. I love making stuff. There's nothing of my job that makes me not want to be there, and that's a thing that I think people will always kind of struggle with. You work your whole life.
So one interesting thing with that is that most people look for the motivation into doing something, but then if you can build a lifestyle where motivation isn't a factor, it doesn't apply. It's like motivation will only get you so far, and that really isn't that far. You have to have more than that.
You have to have drive behind the motivation. A lot of people have ideas, but if you don't turn those ideas into goals and put fundamental effort into it, it's not going to be fruitational. It won't be a thing.
Yeah, you will not.
It'll be a dream.
Every day, you will not have motivation every day.
No, it's not that I'm saying I don't have these feelings, because everyone's human. We all have adverse feelings, but they don't weigh any value to me because of how I've trained myself and my brain. And I can only say that now because I never realized it as a brain training process. But you get older, and I'm 31 now. I've been doing that. I've owned my own business for over 15 years.
Yeah.
Like a fully official registered, having my own place by myself for 10 years officially this year. So you learn a lot doing that, and you definitely do get exactly as you're saying. You have a lot of depressing and demotivational factors, but it's not an option though, because I've already committed to something. I've already booked that appointment or told somebody I'm going to do something. So no matter what adverse feelings I have, you got to get up and you got to get it done. But it's also because I have a moral standard. I care about not so much how other people perceive me, but it's how my dad raised me. It's how my mom raised me. It's how the people I like to surround myself with. I'm true to my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So if I promise you I'm going to be there at 9, on the door of my shop says 9 to 6. I better be there at 9 in the morning, because if not, some customer is going to walk in now and be like, "This, you said you're going to be here at 9, or you promised me you're going to be. Now, how do I look? I don't look good on that customer." So it's I don't care what other people think about me, but
you care about, you're holding yourself accountable.
I have a standard of myself. It's not
absolutely.
that I care that Bob's going to hate me for showing up late. I'm going to hate myself more for not showing up on time.
I would hate to be known for that.
And we all know people who are known for that. Yeah. Those are not...
Actually, statistically, it's proven that someone who's consistently late has less stress.
For sure, because they don't give... I'm going to try really hard on
You can. This is open book.
I'm a sailor, man.
I don't want any filters on the guests or anything to do with this. But it's interesting that if you, for an employee's standard, because we both have employees now, We both have been doing this long enough. And I don't know if you have, but I've been an employee as well.
Yeah,
Obviously.
that's what made me want to not be an employee anymore.
So it's crazy to think that somebody can say, like, my one job was 6 a.m. start. We worked 4 10s. So it was like 6 to 5 with breaks and whatever. Someone can tell me you have to be here at 6, no matter what. And then to go and be there for 6 every day. And if I'm not, I'll get in trouble or whatever. And then to have that same employee, I'm not going to refer to myself being that employee anymore. If they say to themselves, I'm going to do this for myself, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow at 9, they just don't do it. Like, the same level of commitment's not there, but it is there for somebody else.
Yeah.
It's a very strange
Especially,
mindset.
it's always a job that they hate too. Like, it's something that they don't want to go do, and they don't want what comes from it, but they have to do it.
And the exchange is money for your time. And it's crazy that people aren't valuing their time without money, because I do. And valuing my time aside from what it brings me financially is kind of like what put us both where we are.
Yeah.
And having that level of discipline as well I just couldn't work for somebody. That was kind of my thing from the get-go, and my family is just a train of entrepreneurs. Like, everyone just does
Same,
their
but
own
my
thing.
dad owned his own business, but it was never pushed on me in a sense either. I was very much pushed to high school, go to college, pick a good job in college.
Same.
Like you, I raced motocross as a kid. I'm very lucky to be brought up the way I was brought up. My parents were amazing, but I had dirt bikes. I raced motocross, and I got to a certain age, 14, where I can legally work here in Canada. That was the thing. And my mom made me a resume with my dad, went out, applied for my job. Now you got to start working. And if you want to continue doing these things, dirt biking, going racing, dad's ponied up for many years now. So that was an example too, right? Like, I now had to go the extra mile. And I didn't, right? Like, I'm a little kid, but then there was repercussions that came from it. You're not getting that new bike this year.
Classic.
It's just
parenting goes a long way. The biggest lesson that my brother had to learn was when he was doing donuts in his car and he crashed it in a parking lot into another car. And my dad said,
go, Joel.
Yeah, classic Joel.
Classic Joel. DJ Tiesto on
He
20.
doesn't have the little voice. And, if you're in racing, you also, generally don't have that little voice telling you.
All the guys who are nasty don't have a repercussion voice in their head. Exactly. Or it's very faint. Like, it's at the bottom.
In this case, I think I would have been like, nah. Like, there's vans around. There's people that I don't know, and I might hit them. But anyways, he crashed. And my parents said, you're not putting this through insurance. You're going to pay for out of pocket for both. Joel had at the time just saved up like 14 grand to buy a Prelude, Honda Prelude or something. That's what he wanted at the time. I don't know.
They're big in this town, man. I've seen a lot of Preludes.
Yeah, well,
H22, man.
H22,
yeah.
Yeah, and then he ended up going with an Accord 4-cylinder and swapping the H22 into it.
Big displacement.
It's an extra 40 horsepower or whatever he was getting.
That's just the game.
Yeah. Which, it was cool. He probably learned a ton, but he probably learned the most from that lesson at like 17 years old where, you know what, most parents or people or whatever might bail you out and you're never going to learn.
Yeah,
You'll just keep making that save.
Good repercussion for his actions.
And he says, I'm not going to do that again. But he got a couple other charges. I'm not talking smack on my brother either. But the guy is an absolute weapon in the best way.
He's a man. He's an animal.
Yeah,
but you live and you learn. A lot of people, a lot of people like us, I feel, have to live and learn a little bit. You watched your brother and helped learn in that situation.
Oh yeah, I had the.
You didn't need to do it to learn. You're like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me.
Exactly.
But that's the same thing. It's like a perspective. Some people don't even have that perspective, and they'll go do the same thing. Parental values is one, but you don't also need that. That's also not an excuse to be shitty or like do bad at it now. But it's like, because you had good parents, because my dad owned his own business and my mom also worked, and my parents are some of the hardest working people I've met. That doesn't give me an excuse now to blanket like being shitty, or someone to now be like, oh, you don't need to do that because you had this. That it's just another excuse, and I hate excuses. Yeah. Excuses are the backbone of a lazy society. There's always a reason not to do something instead of using your head and thinking of ways to do something. You get it a lot with all the stuff. Thinking outside the box is very frowned upon, and that's why we own our own businesses, because you work a normal job, and it's like you're not allowed, you gotta stay in this box. You're working 9 to 5. Larry's on the forklift today. Bell rings, 11:30, lunch break, 45 minutes, and it's just. To me, it's killing. Like, it's I never liked school. I didn't do good in school. I had to go back, get a bunch of credits. It's not that I don't like listening to authority or people telling me what to do, but I just always thought differently. And it was never rewarded for thinking differently. I was got in trouble
I know,
differently.
Yeah, I know that the system today is definitely better suited to thinking differently, because I have 2 kids in school. So they are looking at and doing behavioral analysis on them and seeing that they do learn differently, whereas me, everything was hands-on. If I wasn't hands-on and I had to just read and remember, I would not actually do well at all.
No, 100%.
And mathematically, I'm still very good at math, and I always was good at math, but I wouldn't show the work in the way that they wanted it to. So I'd get the answer right, but I'd get a 3 out of 5
or a C+.
Yeah. And they're like, nope, you need to show the steps, and I'm like, I just didn't know.
I don't need to prove you anything.
Yeah,
I got the answer right.
so today, knowing and seeing that I was not the smartest kid in high school, I was kind of going down the athletic route, and then I realized, you know what, there actually is no place for that. Even though I was tall, athletic, and good at things, at the end of the day, I wasn't good enough.
But it taught you core values, definitely. I feel
discipline for sure. Yeah, like when
who you are today, like you wouldn't be the person you are without having those coaches that you looked up to and respected their opinion. Like I double perspective as much stuff as I can to now make my own opinion, and I value weightlifting and like any sport or career, because it all takes motivation and drive. Like it's all connected.
And then people miss the idea of using mentors to the maximum that you can.
Yeah, taking the potential of surrounding yourself.
A mentor has done it. They've done it all before, and they're 60, 70 years old or younger.
30 years of fucking around and finding out.
Exactly. So they know all the things that you're going through, how to overcome them, and most of us at that age are thinking we're bulletproof.
Oh,
like, in this area.
Invincible.
Yeah, in this area, let's say basketball, for example, I was one of the best players in this area. I'm 6'5", I'm pretty big, and that's great. But you go to the U.S., I'm small.
Yeah.
I'm very small. And we realized that pretty quickly when I did go play in the U.S., and I was like, this is not going to work.
The area, it's like a lot of people do know where we are, but a lot of people don't know where we are. It's Trenton,
big
Ontario.
Deal in a small town.
It's a tiny little town where it's like, in Toronto, if you went and did basketball in Mississauga, same thing. Like you would have just been another dude. But out here in Trenton, it's just like
big deal.
Goliath.
Yeah, 100%. So again, perspective just puts everything into check, and people lack perspective. Social media does a lot of damage to us.
Yeah. Especially when I'm watching cool shit like you make, and I'm like, man, I suck.
No way.
Like, 100%. 100%. I do it all the time. And then even guys that, because like we're friends, and I'll share stuff with, like, send you people that I look up to, like I follow, like I fucking suck. Like I'm my worst critic. I'm my biggest enemy. People will look at me and like hype up my stuff, and I always try my hardest to not let that ego side get to my head of it. And I'd prefer to, like, where you're like, it's not bad to think that I'm shitty. Keeping that, like, it's not that I'm shitty. It's just I know I'm good in certain areas. But if I think that I'm the best, or it's going to fill the ego, and it's going to be bad. I'm never going to evolve in those areas. So it's like I always am my biggest critic, because when I see other fabricators making stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I suck. It's like, not that I suck. It's just like, it pushes me to be like, even if I look back and look at this 8-to-1 that we made, it's like, you could be like, yeah, I make 8-to-1s, man. Like, I'm the cool, I'm not the hottest shit. Like, I'm just the dude who can bring stuff into reality. But a lot of people will take that now and like go with it and base their whole identity now off of this one thing they've done. And it's like, that's an egotistical trait. And that's, I feel, is very detrimental to business. Like, same with your business. If you carried your business with a lot of egotistical traits, it's not going to run how it is now, because you're going to need to be on every little piece of the operation. No, you're there, and you kind of can let go and just...
Yeah, the constant want to become better is what makes us good at what we do. And people get off on the smallest, like, successes, or they get off on the smallest things that they accomplish. As
an achievement on Call of Duty. That's why Call of Duty's sick. You get an achievement. That's why people get addicted to it.
Well, because they measured the dopamine levels.
Yeah, it's a small achievement that it's the same as us making a sick weld on something. I guess you can measure the same effect on the body, but now that's something that is just...
It releases the same amount of dopamine, they are saying, as an orgasm. Like, that's how well, yeah. And if you continue, and you can just keep doing it, and you can just keep getting
you can just keep respawning,
and you're just like, it is detrimental, because like I was saying this when I was with Ethan, and I know that it would obviously have some people that would not agree, because a lot of people love gaming.
Yeah.
But it's
I like gaming. I will sit and play some Call of Duty. I have nothing against it, but it's like, I've said it a lot too.
So let's say you go 32-0, which I did at one point, and I was like, that was amazing. I'm sending it over Snapchat. I'm like, this is so sick. This was a while ago.
Squad. Yeah. All hyped up.
Yeah. In whatever that game was, I got the chicken dinner by myself, solo run, however many kills. I'm feeling fantastic.
I'm the boss.
Guess what? Nobody gives a shit.
No. Like, next round.
Nobody actually cares.
Respawn, 10 seconds.
So the best response will be from your boy, and he'll be like, that's sick. That's it.
And it feeds you.
That's
like,
it. So you know what you get when you do a sick weld for a customer? You get paid, and then you get, growth from that. And you're like, that was a good weld. Like back in the day when I did weld all the time, I would be like, I could see that one puddle that just wasn't in line with the rest. Or that
my biggest...
The consistency was great, except for those two spots where your wrist was like fully articulated.
And you know why it did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're looking at it, and it's like PTSD of when you were there in the hood, and you're like,
man, I could have just...
My tungsten angle was off.
The gas, you let it off too quickly. The color wasn't...
Kyle didn't clean the tubes well enough. Whatever, right?
You know what? There's a number of different things, but that's what we have to do in order to become better. And then
if you don't, you get stuck. And that's what I say with the ego, and people can take it a lot of different... People can go deep with it, but in general, everyone has an egotistical trait. It's you adapt a personality through all your life experiences. You are up to your decisions of how you want to perceive these things, and then the ego can control those things. You can take that weld, and you can now be like, I'm the fucking boss, and I'm the best. This is what it is, and you can be the best, or you can treat it in a way like we kind of do. And I feel that if you just want to put it on a paper and take those two examples, and you follow those two people over a scale of 5 to 10 years, and you see those two people's progressions, that person is at their plateau, because they're at the top of where they've done something sick, and they can't carry over because they can't accept it, and they won't keep growing. They just stick there for a little bit, and they're good. They're on top, but they're stuck. We constantly will nitpick and go over all the stuff we want to do, and that's what's going to bring us to another level. Like, think back to 16-year-old you versus now. Would you be
no comparison? Would
you be Haas machining inboard brake setups on a no, you'd be going in a used car pile with Joel, finding a Saab 92X intercooler that's going to fit under.
Exactly. Reusing the side intercooler from an R32, sticking it up in the hood.
Put a little vent on it.
I needed a 45, so I cut a rubber 90 elbow. Just made it work with the clamp. It didn't quite go on.
My buddy Sean's made fucking couplers out of like highway pylons.
Yeah.
The shit I've seen. The shit I've seen and done. But it takes that perspective. And if we, again, I feel plateauing. Like, if we sat at those points and we thought that was it, if you were like me whole sawing out spindles, stock 240 spindles to make my angle, this is as far as I'm going. That's where your angle kits would have stayed forever.
No appreciation.
And then, I appreciate it. But now you're stuck in terms of developing your angle kits, because that was a limitation for you. You sat, you thought, now you adapted, now you take a 350Z. Like, you have taken something and then constantly evolved. Whereas in somebody could have just been like, this kit's the fucking bee's knees. That's it. This is it. This is what you do. Oh, I need a core spindles. It's like, no, I don't want core. You didn't like something, and then you went out of your way to make something better. That's a different type of person, and not everyone's built for that.
For that example, that Mike's referring to, I had made. I first started out with just modding knuckles, cutting and shredding.
I've modded many knuckles,
Exactly.
not well.
So I was like probably I felt like I was unique in the game because I made a jig.
I bolted my knuckle to a jig. My jig was like just like angle iron with like a ball joint tacked to it. And I'm like, like an inch and a half out of this 13 knuckle.
Because I was like,
what you want, man? No problem.
Yeah, I was measuring them. I was making sure it's perfect. I threw it on my car. I was like, I don't really like the Ackerman.
This feels better.
What is Ackerman?
I'd just be like, it's good. Like,
I'm
this
like,
is better than stock.
I'm trying to figure out what Ackerman was, how it played a role in drifting.
I still don't even. What's the KPI, man? Like, who knows?
So
but you evolved, right?
When I was doing that, I was like, man, these cars, when you slam them, they just needed some sort of roll center correction, and no one's offering it. So I like cut the bottom of the knuckle right off. No one does that. Everyone leaves the ball joint and they move the tie rod.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna cut this sucker here, here, and here to make like a staircase, drop, water jet cut a blank that fits in there, and then it'll relocate the tie rod and it'll move the ball joint, give me roll center correction, and it adjusts my mechanical trail. And I'm going to turn a stock knuckle into like the best knuckle that you can buy for like $450. And I got the water jet cut blanks for like $40. 2 pieces. I needed one for each knuckle. Took me about 2 hours once I had the jig set up. And I was like, dude, I'm making $450 in 2 hours.
Sick.
That was sick.
I'm a doctor.
Today, it's still sick. That's still great.
I'm like, I'm a lawyer.
And I would like TIG them, and then I would put them in the sand bucket to cool slow. Man, you never had to do any of that. Just crank up the MIG and just weld.
Man.
But we learned all this stuff, right?
Shock the metal.
Like in my advertising pitch was that I TIG welded roll cages, or that I did all of this stuff.
Punish, man. What a punishing fact.
But what it does is, this is what I still do today with multiple different things, is the term raising the bar applies to me because I was a high jumper. So raising the bar literally is what I was doing.
I was a push the envelope kind of guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Same thing. But in high school, I was competing like on a national level in high jump. So you constantly are trying to raise the bar, doing whatever you can.
Literally.
The thing in high jump was when you jumped a certain height, like you jumped 2 meters, 195 all of a sudden seems like you can jump it every time.
Yeah, I just did.
But you go back 2 months, you couldn't jump it, and it seemed impossible. So that's what the term is referring to. So I remember in grade 10, 185. Like, that was the shit. Like, if you jumped 185...
You're a hot shit.
Yeah. And then I go into the senior year of my high school, and I start at 185. I don't even jump anything leading up to it because I've raised my bar. It's the perspective of what you figured out that you can achieve, and then doing it. And then so today, like, it's difficult to continue to find things. In business, I'm doing my day-to-day. It's very difficult to continue to challenge myself. So
because you have a routine now.
I have to have a routine to maintain the business. Yeah. So I'm beyond the point of testing my limits, except for exercising and going to the gym and doing things like that. So if you think of doing something that's extremely difficult, like doing an ice bath or an ice shower, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever. My buddy won't even do it. I'm doing it because once you realize how you can overcome that difficulty, it gives you a new perspective where other difficult things now seem easy.
Now your limit's here instead of being here. So you keep raising it up.
What I've done, and I still don't think I'm at near my potential, but what I've done with this Corvette.
That's the ticket. You'll never be. If you do, the ego's there and you suck.
So why
you're going to plateau. You're going to fall off fast.
Why am I doing all this crazy stuff in this Corvette? It's like I am continuing to push the envelope and raise the bar so that I realize...
Not for anyone else.
This is for nobody.
This is for no one but me.
And to be honest with you, doing all of these things on the Corvette, I've learned a ton, which I can now apply to my customers' products that nobody can apply. No company can apply. I have this experience that I can make into a sellable product. So I've always said, and it's becoming more and more evident, FDF Race Shop doesn't have a ceiling. There is no limit.
No.
It's a matter.
Vasily coming in with you have all these people coming in with these crazy ideas, and all this information helps make these ideas less crazy and more.
When he comes in with a subframe from this and a knuckle from that, and he's like, I got an Audi and I need an angle kit, a winner's quick change to be mounted in here. I need a dual caliber bracket. I'm like, easy. Like,
no problem.
Who can say that? Yeah. I mean, it's a humbling experience at this point, but for him to come in and I don't even have to think anymore.
Yeah.
There's
or be concerned about it. Same with me with doing mufflers. It's like, no problem. Yeah. Take a look at it. Like, yeah, I can do that. No problem.
Yeah.
This is how much.
This kind of thing, like, it also suppresses any form of anxiety if you can continue to raise your car.
Anxiety, all of it's all relative, and it goes towards you now going to the gym and now you it's all relative.
Yeah.
It's all very relative.
It's making your opinion a fact based on practical experience.
100%.
That's basically it. And if you don't have practical experience, you can't form an opinion. Or
you definitely can, but it doesn't mean it's going to be valid.
Yeah, and social media has made everyone
the people who do that will let people know the most about it. Whereas then it's like, I don't comment on the same with you. Busy. It's like I'm too busy, but it's like I know I hold my tongue a lot of the time because it's like it's not even worth getting into it with a lot of people who.
I'm kind of a one and done commenter.
Yeah. Like, who can't see past a certain perspective. They're very limited, and there's no sense arguing with someone who doesn't want to see.
Yeah, but Instagram has this really nice feature where you can respond with a video, and then it kind of broadcasts their comment.
Yeah, and lets everyone know.
If you really don't, like the one guy was commenting that I should be fired for my job, which is weird. It's my own job, but
cool.
Talking about anti-squat and how he was saying compression in the suspension actually is better and makes the car go faster, and he said, "I'm an idiot. I should be fired." So I'm going to take this comment. I'm going to throw her up
I'm going to take
on my little dyno pull
Put it in the brain for 10 minutes.
So then people started blasting that guy for making the comment in my comments. And you know what?
You see it happen all the time.
The algorithm works.
The board, whether it's a basketball, like Michael Jordan was, and then someone's going to be like, give him 20 reasons why he's wrong. And then, so there's always going to be a negative opinion, but we don't have those style opinions. Like, we do, but we're not going to let them take precedent over what we actually care about, which is like designing, developing, and figuring out stuff for stuff you want to. Mm-hmm. Like, you're never going to let, whatever that username comment, you know what, man, you're right. I'm going to just fucking pack up my bags. I'm done. You're absolutely correct. I'm done. You're right. You want my job? Like, the people who say this shit, it's just like, what even went through your head before you were like, yeah. This is what I'm saying. And it's like,
I agree. It's
like, I would just never even have, like, I would never even have that mental path that they went down to, like, what is that doing for you? Where is it getting you in life? How is that getting you ahead? Is it constructive? Mm-hmm. No. It's the same thing as being like, you're fat. Yeah, man, you don't think the fat person doesn't know that they're fat, right? Like, it's the same thing. It's relative.
Yeah.
But it goes into the willingness of what people are willing to put in. No matter what, you're always going to have someone who's going to talk down to what you're doing. It's up to you to decide.
It's important to remember. It's important to remember that nobody, actually, how am I going to say this really and capture what I'm trying to say? You'll never be hated by somebody who's doing more than you.
100%.
That's probably the best way to say that.
Because those people who are doing that don't carry that thought process to carry out those actions, I feel.
They don't care what you're doing. I don't care what anyone's doing.
I do care what you're doing because you're doing cool shit, but if you were doing something that I didn't fully agree with, it's not going to like base my whole opinion on just you should quit. You know what, man?
Mm-hmm.
I know more than you in this area, so you should be fired.
So yeah, if someone,
or I feel I know more than you in this area, so you should be fired.
Yeah, there's tons of great examples that I could refer to, like personally with my experience.
Big dog guy.
Huge. I don't know. Dylan and Cam are cats.
I like cats too. I used to never like cats, but it's because you haven't met a cool cat. When you meet a cool cat and you have a bond like you do with a dog, it changes the game forever.
So I've never had a cat, so I've never had a bond with a cat.
And you've only met cats who are usually assholes, because there's a good portion of cats who are assholes.
I'm allergic to cats.
That too, yeah. That's the number one ticket to not liking a cat.
So I don't sneeze, I don't get itchy, I don't get any of that. I just get straight up asthma. And I don't get asthma from anything other than a cat.
Cat dander.
It just like closes up my lungs.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You're missing out, man. Cats are pretty cute.
I don't think I am, honestly.
I've met some sick ass cats.
Yeah, dogs are
my pinnacle. Like, I've grown up with dogs. My dog is like the best dog ever. This is a great dog too. She's a good old
Abby. Girl. Like that dog, the kids can rip on her fur.
Labs are amazing. They're good with kids.
Break her tail, she'll yelp, but she won't do a thing to the kid. Well, their tails are like a log, right?
Yeah.
You feel bad if you like bend it the wrong way.
100%.
It's just a
My dog's bent her tail, man. It hurts him.
She gets scared. The two doors at the front there are so close together. Sometimes if she doesn't get through them fast enough, the second door will land on her tail.
Poor girl, man.
So you see her just like tuck her tail under fast. Even though it's fine. She just has had it happen before.
She knows.
Oh, man. Dogs, like, I've had her since 7 weeks old.
Since baby.
And it's so important to make sure that other people can enjoy your dog with discipline. And it applies to children the same way it applies to dogs.
Yeah, like, children are brutal with animals. They'll, like,
okay, yes. Children and animals, like, interacting with each other is one thing. I'm talking about training your dog and then training your children.
Oh, completely. I don't have kids, so
they are the same. They're the same. If you've trained a dog, you got to treat your kids the same way.
I would 100%. I could see someone getting mad at me because I'd be like, sit.
Yeah, the crib is equal to the cage.
And my dog, I gotta be meat. Like, my dog's smart. Like, she's a Malinois.
You cannot train your dog, like, to potty train and stuff like that.
She's my girlfriend's dog, so I'm a stepdad. I'm a stepdog dad.
Right.
So I came in after the fact. So she was already trained. It was good. It's good for me. Like, she came pre-trained, but she's really smart. Like, she's super smart dog.
Doesn't whine. Doesn't do anything like that.
She'll whine, but like. The dog is so insanely smart. It's like brutal for you because she knows how to like work around the limits you've already set, and now you need to like set new limits because like she knows how to like work around them in a sense. You have to be an alpha. Like I gotta put on my strong guy voice, and I have to yell. And I feel bad sometimes, like, because if my neighbor's awesome, but he definitely hears me like yelling at my dog sometimes, and he's like, "Is he beating that?" I'm like, "No, I've never beat my dog." But it's like, if I'm not like this, she's gonna walk all over me, man.
Yeah.
Like she'll literally make me her bitch.
Yeah.
Well, that's the type of dog she is. She's an alpha dog. So
they
she
also
needs a master. Labs are just like, I'm just here for a good time, man. My dog's like, go, 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 go.
She was, until she was about 7 years old, she was ridiculously.
Labs are hyper
yeah,
dogs.
she was insane.
Which is good for the kids too, though, right?
She would tackle people. Like, you tell the dog, like, down, Abby. Like, that's like the most common. New people come in the door, they're trying to jump
her too.
So she would kind of avoid the initial jump because she's working it out.
Yeah.
As soon as nobody's looking, jumps on your back. And people just fold. She jumps on their back and they fold. And I'm like, Abby, why did, like, in a backyard barbecue, she is coming. And this is a full-grown man jumping on your back. That's what it feels like.
Taking you at the legs.
Yeah. So I've seen people buckle at the knees to her jumping on them. And then she feels bad and all this stuff. And that's the thing with dogs. They feel bad about doing things.
For a minute or two.
As soon as I came in, you guys weren't here yet. I knew something was up.
Oh, same. I know instantly if she was a good girl or if she was a bad girl. Because she'll come in. If good girl,
she's giving you the side eye.
Everything. If she was bad, I come in and she's already like ears tucked down. And
side eye.
What did you do?
She won't look you in the eye. She's like this. You're like, what did you do? She's like, looking at you from the side.
You find out.
The tail's slightly down. She's moving slowly, and then I get closer to like the incident.
The area.
Yeah, she just like
she
gets lower to the ground, and I see the carnage, the bag,
just bread,
little pieces of bag,
everywhere.
And she's so good at opening up a bag and just. All the
flawlessly.
Crumbs. You know what? I don't have to clean up much. That's the only good part about it.
She's good at getting all the crumbs.
Yeah, she licks it all up, and then she takes another nap for another 8 hours or however long she wants.
Oh, dude, my dog's taken down like a full box of favorites. Like, you know, the Halloween, like, Canada. So it's like we get these Nestle favorite boxes for Halloween.
That is not
like
good.
No, she was unfazed, man. Yeah. Like, unfazed. Like 120 chocolates.
That's the other thing with the lab. Their digestive system will.
They're like a cow.
The whole bag will come out the rear.
Yeah, and you gotta pull it out.
I've done it.
Same.
Grab it. You're like, what,
dude? I literally I like tender. I'm a big meat guy. I like tenderloin roast. So I spiced up garlic. You know, seasoned my little roast, and then I'm like laying on the bed with my girlfriend, just hanging out, and then the dog just comes up and she's just sitting and he like licks me, and I'm like, that smells like everything that I just used. And it's like $30 of like little tenderloin roast, and she strings and all just ate them all like in 2 seconds. And I'm like,
what happens with the bones? Is there any bones in them?
No, there's no bones. They're like tenderloin roast with the strings on it. That's what I'm getting at.
The strings gone. Yeah, I know.
All three of them are just like I don't know how she ate that much meat that fast. And then same thing, you got little now I'm the guy. Just gotta get the strings out.
So the strings have definitely been eaten by Abby, but she's eaten a whole chicken, bone, every bone that you can think of. She's eaten the whole thing. And then
they're invincible. They're like a tiger shark or
years
bull
ago.
Shark or whatever they
The labs are,
Need a license plate. It's fine.
Yeah, garbage. Like they're like a catfish in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like they will just scoop up anything.
What are you made of?
That's impressive stuff.
I want to be a lab.
And like,
I want to be that invincible.
It's solid. She's
eat dairy and it's just like, like, it's like, why can't I be that indestructible?
Like pizza and dough with the cheese. My body hates it.
Yeah.
We eat it all the time. We had it today.
My body's just immune to it, but it's not happy with the dough.
It's fine,
and the cheese.
but just like I'm like I don't feel 100%, and I could if I had like a burrito with rice and all these other things.
All the good stuff.
I like a good steak.
Big
burrito.
rice guy. Yeah. Rice and steak and chicken.
All right, enough about the dogs.
Dogs and food.
Yeah, we could talk about
back to business. Back to race cars.
We don't have to talk about business or dogs, but we can talk about race cars.
I think most people are here for race cars.
Give us the list of cars that you currently own.
So many people ask me this, man. It's ridiculous. That I currently own or that
currently own.
Work or like
No. Currently own. Let's condense it. If we can't go.
You actually need me to list them all.
It's best like within. Give me your top 10 if you got more than 10.
And there's more than 10.
Okay.
Like I have more than 10 vehicles.
Lay them out from
like the beginning, I guess. I don't know.
Not cars that you've owned over the course
that I still have.
Currently
I still have cars that started with. So I have my RX-7 still, my FC RX-7 that started it all. I still have that. That's sitting deep in my buddy's shop. I fully rotisserie that car and painted the underbody.
How many dimple dyes are in that car?
I went full. This is when Forrest Wang was the shit. Like Forrest Wang was. He still is the shit.
His rad support had all.
I'm a big style guy. I care. It's not that I care about style more than function, but I kind of do in a sense. Like, there's no sense of like doing cool shit unless you look cool. I've just always cared about aesthetics and like how my car looks and just how it's presented. Gussets, holes, flares.
I remember
so many hours.
I just kept seeing, like I was building
so many fuck ups, like so much like redoing everything that I've already done all over again because I'm like I need more gussets.
I think at the time we were subtly competing for dimple dye holes
100%
because I had Mike Lauer's car and I threw
that car has so many dimple dyes. the whole struts and then I was all the way down. I guess that's what I did it. Yeah. I literally made the exact same strut tower braces.
I was like Mike's putting,
and then I TIG welded them too, and I think I tagged it just for you because I wasn't TIG welding like any metal work stuff. I'm a big welder. Just get the spool gun out, get her done.
Speed.
I'm big on getting shit done too. Like, there's always time for nice stuff, but it's like anything. You only see the nice. You only see the 8-to-1s. You only see the fancy heads. You don't see 100 fucking zip off discs that might explode in your face, and you're just black boogers all covered in crud. You smell like iron because you've just been grinding, and like no one sees the shit.
No.
Or cares about the shit of it.
That's what makes the money too.
Yeah. So that car is just overkill in gussets, and I have so much stuff for that. But that's just I'm gonna finish that eventually. I'm not overly concerned.
No rush.
And then I got into BMWs because BMWs were cheap. RX-7 was cheap. That's why I like the RX-7. 240s got really expensive.
You've successfully invested in something that you probably didn't know was going to go up so high in value.
Yeah, it just...
Your E46s are worth so much money now.
Well, not what I've done to them or like when I get them. But just, I think our career path, why I've been able to get to the point that I am is because of that. Is because I think the big thing in life is like as soon as you get, when you're about to take a risk and you get that feeling where it's like you're hemming it, that's the ticket. That's the moments where you have a chance to adapt and overcome. You either keep growing or you stay at the plateau that I was kind of talking about. Mm-hmm. Like, that is your golden ticket to get to the next plateau, because you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort, your next bar, what you thought was achievable, and you're pushing towards it.
You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's just a progressive training with that, without risking all of the money that I had on these stupid things at times. Like, I make horrible. If you talk to my dad, like the shit that I've done and bought, and like somehow, like the amount of Cerebrus 2s I bought. Like, I'm a big JDM wheel guy. You know that. I like my shiny. I'm a Johnny. I like my Johns. Amount of wheels that I bought for like nothing, like compared to what they're going for now. I have at least 4 sets of wheels that I bought for $800 that right now I could sell today for $3,000. So take that same theory with pretty much everything I've played with, and that's how it came. It came with $500 BMWs, and I bought my RX-7 for $700. Driving, I drove it back from the place for $700. Find me an RX-7, FC RX-7 today that runs and drives for anything under. You're not going to get
Doesn't
that.
exist.
And even FDs, like even when I first started, it's like black right-hand drive FD, tan interior. No one wanted it. I had a customer that came in when I first started doing this. He bought it for $7,000. If I bought that car for $8,000 and just parked it somewhere, now what's that car worth? So I feel that's a big, like the hobby we've gotten into is also given us an ability to make our hobby self-sufficient with our hobby. My business doesn't make it so that I can do all the stuff that I do. All the stuff that I do makes it so that I can do all the stuff that I do. The reason I have 12 cars is because I've used all my shit to now turn it into 12 cars. I'm not going to work 9 to 5, paying, like I would never be able to achieve all that stuff if I just worked at the local dealership, making $38 an hour, get home, and now I have no motivation to do anything. The only reason I have all my stuff is because it's like I'll stay up to 2 a.m. fucking with shit, or I'll drive to Kingston for that deal on that set of rims for $500, and I'll pony up that $500, even though and to make $500. That's what my whole life is I walked into this room and Josiah paid me for helping him with the 8-to-1, because that was our deal. Obviously, if I wanted him to come help me with stuff, I'm not going to be like, hey man, can you just come help me for free? Like, it needs to be rectified. It's just now that's the position that I'm in. Everywhere I go and all the things that I do just involve with me either spending money or making money. So I take the risk and I get the reward. If you don't take the risk, there's no reward.
So it's definitely it can become an issue if you're working within your hobby, because you will get sick of it. But the thing that makes us profitable is that because you're working on your own car, your RX-7, your BMWs, you're building your own stuff, you're modding your own things. Now when you do a customer's car, your experience is triple what 100%. It would have been if you just did it as a job. You can't just do it as a job.
No.
If you own a business, you have to be passionate about it, or else it will fail
immensely
within the 3 to 5 year period that they say most businesses.
Look at all these t-shirt companies that come up on your Instagram, like welder t-shirt, like just because we like welding, and we like, there's so many monetary kind of businesses that try and make the money in the moment, where the money has never been my focus. The reason I opened my own business and started doing my own business is because I detached the caring about money. Though I went to go work on transport trucks. Like high school, finally graduated high school after getting all my credits so I could get in the college program I wanted to get into, which was truck and coach technician, work on transport trucks, because I liked working with my hands, and apparently you make good money working on big trucks. Cool. I went to Centennial College and I did work weeks in it. And I do these work weeks, and then I see all these people who were my dad's age, 45, 50 years old. You got to be there at 5 a.m, plow at the base. Everyone is fucking miserable. Miserable. Like, I don't enjoy hanging out with any of these people. And that's what I took away from it. And I think that's the biggest curveball.
What's the point of the money if you're miserable?
What's the point? Even if you make fucking $200,000, like if you're miserable every day and you hate your boss and you hate Ricky who's in the bay beside you, who touches your teal, like your life sucks. What are you doing every day? Living life. So what's
The highlight of their life is telling you that they make $45 an hour.
Even though they hate Ricky and they hate their boss and they go home and they beat their wife.
So what they look forward to is mowing the lawn with a beer in their hand.
Oh, it's the best part. I do like that.
It is good, but it's not the highlight.
No, it's not the highlight of my life.
I just enjoy it because I can sit and do whatever and drink a beer while cutting the grass. But like, I swear to God, I worked at a fabrication company for 2 years. Started as a co-op student, worked there for 2 years after. These guys would talk about that. They're like, oh, can't wait for Saturday.
Yep.
6 hours, mow the lawn. I'm like, the one guy made a gyroscopic beer holder for his lawnmower, and I'm like, I can see it. This guy had the passion.
But it's directed at beer in his mower.
He's 45. Or he's older. He's 50. Yeah. He's
been killed.
You know, his motivation has, like, I'm not going to say we never get motivation, but a lot of things that we do it regardless.
Yeah, so it's also not going to get easier when you're older. You hear that a lot.
He's creating.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Because he has more shit. Me being 16 years old or 17 years old and being able to try this, living at home, mom's doing my laundry, I'm not buying food. Like, I'm in a golden age where now I have a house, I have a million fucking bills, I have a dog, I have my girlfriend, I have my bit. I'm not here to make excuses because that's the losing game, but it's like you have more excuses, so now it's harder when you're older because you have more reason. The easiest time to do it is when you're a stupid kid with nothing to lose.
The best thing that somebody could do if they lack motivation or if they have a hard time doing anything is gain some form of other perspective or put yourself in somebody else's shoes that might seem more difficult. So, for an example, there's a guy that goes to the gym who's paralyzed from a motorcycle accident, dirt biking accident, sick dude. This guy is at the gym before I am, 6 a.m. I'm like, can I imagine how hard it would be to get to the gym?
You don't think that guy has excuses to not do something?
If he said...
on top of everything.
Let's say we're friends. He calls me up. Man, I can't walk.
My legs don't work.
So I'd be like, oh, dude, it's fine. I'd be like, that's a good reason to not go to the gym. If someone said, listen, dude, my legs are paralyzed and I can't get out of bed, I'd be like, yeah, that's a fantastic excuse. What excuse do I have? I didn't want to wake up.
Oh, your kids
tired. I was up late.
Yeah, your kids were mean this morning and now you have a bad attitude, right?
As soon as that perspective becomes a reality, like as soon as you accept it as something that's real.
You turned it into reality.
I did, but I also have other perspective from my parents, making us go on missions trips to Haiti and Guatemala and seeing what happens there and seeing how grateful someone can be for a soccer ball.
100%.
It changes their life if you give them a toothbrush or a soccer ball.
Anywhere you go.
Anywhere but Canada and North America and some European countries.
Even still on that, it's like your parents obviously went to do that for a specific reason, but even now I try and relate. So it's like, yeah, I remember going to Mexico and Cuba, and it's like just even seeing the lifestyle that these people have versus we're in the pinnacle of living. Like we live in the hubs of where everything's easy. So you see these people just to get to their jobs, lining up at the bus stop, the bus pulling up, bus being so full, there's people fucking chasing the bus away from the bus stop to jump on.
They don't make any money if they don't get on the bus.
Like, and it's like, it's so wild to just like see what these people are going through to just survive.
I think everyone needs to just take one trip and it'll change their life.
100%.
It might be a tough week. It'll be hard. It could cost a lot. It's usually expensive.
It doesn't even have to be. You can be in I was at an all-inclusive resort, drinking, hanging out. This wasn't even that long ago with my buddy Mitch. It's just my mind and my thought process that I can now... You can say that, and then now I can relate back. Like, I haven't talked to you about this before, but it's like, okay, I can just use my head, and it's like, yeah, I can relate to that. I've been to a country that doesn't have the opportunities that I have, and seeing these people just to work a job, like, just to go to work. Like, they don't even fucking care what they're doing. They're definitely not getting paid what they should be for what they're doing either. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, if that was here, you'd deserve $1,000 a week for working at McDonald's. Like, these people are working probably at crazy heights with no, like, you know, like there's no, like we live in a golden age to not, or golden area to not have excuses, but it's the people with the most excuses here. Whereas you go to places like that, there's no excuses to be found.
Well, it's different when they're living to survive rather than living to just find something to do today. That's kind of like what creates anxiety. It creates depression. Your mind is allowed to think of other things.
The devil loves idle hands.
Yeah, and versus there, if you don't go get water, you're going to die.
Legit. So, and in order to get that water, you need to put drugs on your shoulders.
For 6 miles or something.
Walk 6 miles with no shoes.
And it's hot.
And it's hot. Like, there's lots of reasons where, like, you should, but, like, you literally will not live. Like, you can't. And it's not nice water either, probably. It's probably water you need to boil and do all these things with, right?
Yeah, so...
It's crazy.
It's so
we have
important.
It so easy. I can just Jeff Bezos, go on my phone, and I can Amazon water to my house.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Water at home.
Yeah, so there's way too many... There's reasons that
so many excuses. Excuses are a defining factor of people who are going to be...
If you can bring yourself to recognize when you don't want to do something and then say, because I don't want to do this I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's it.
If you can get your mindset to realize that and to just reprogram that thought process and, I don't know, set an alarm that just says it on the alarm or something.
You're going to be a force to be reckoned
with. You will
with.
be. You're going to run everybody over.
Yeah.
Because nobody can do that.
And you're going to have a lot of people hating on you doing that, but with your newfound skill set, what is it going to do?
So I made a story because I went to the gym in the morning and it was 6 a.m. and I didn't want to go. I really didn't want to go. I didn't go to bed. No shit.
I don't want to get out of bed at 6 a.m, let alone go do You want me to go do physical work before the sun is up?
So I was in the parking lot sitting in my truck, and then I made a video.
You can tell I don't go to the gym a lot. So.
I put it on Instagram, and I just said, like, I had a hard time getting out of bed this morning. I just basically said what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I made it here. Now that I'm here, I'm happy that I'm here. And then this is going to be a good start to the day because I already achieved something.
Yeah.
At least if the rest of my day goes to shit, I achieved this. It's just like making your bed, but that's a bit smaller. Yeah. If you make your bed,
it's the same shit.
When you go to bed, you have a made bed. So like if the whole day was bad, at least you get to lay in a nice made bed. If you don't I don't make my bed, but I do go to the gym. So I got some work to do. I don't make my
bed in the morning, but before I get in my bed at night, I will readjust and make sure it's all good because I like it that way. So I will always go above and beyond to make sure it's that way. But yeah, I agree. Like military, wake up, clean. I should do that.
We all should.
But my girlfriend's sleeping in, so I can't. So
if you can somehow bring yourself to achieving something small at the beginning of every day, doesn't matter what it is.
You're paving the path.
Yeah, do 10 sit-ups. It's 10 more than you did yesterday. Yeah. Like, even if it means nothing or it does nothing, as long as you did something more than you did the day before.
Why do you brush your teeth every day? You should brush your teeth every day. Why do you brush your teeth every day?
I can't not brush my teeth.
I can't not brush my teeth every day because it's a repetitive thing.
Yeah.
And then now there's things subconsciously in me, like your teeth will get fuzzy now.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like now I'm like, I am
can't do it.
The enemy to myself. There's no one out there I don't have my mom anymore. Where's your mom's not coming here being like, Josiah, brush your teeth. No, you grew up. But that's the point of these things. These are the parenting.
You made it a routine.
You don't you choose to wear pajamas to Walmart at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? You choose to do that.
Okay, we went there for sure.
I went there 100%, man. Because that's the attitude you're talking about.
When you're driving to go to get something, like I'm driving to High Precision. It's a company that does water jetting for us sometimes. They're up the road. And I see at 11 o'clock someone walking down the street with
in their fucking pajamas.
They're this tall. They're coffees. And I'm like...
Or a big slushie at like 10 in the morning.
In the pajamas. The plaid red or green pajamas with... a tank top on, barely. It depends on if it's summer or winter.
They just got out of the house. It doesn't. Nothing matters.
What are you doing?
Nothing matters.
I
gave up.
I actually want to interview them, and I want to find out. I want to find out. Yeah, I would get mad, but I just want to know. I know what gets us out of bed. What gets you out of bed? Is it that coffee? Is that what
That's barely
got you out of bed?
Barely.
Why don't you just stay there? I don't know. Like, put some other pants on, though.
Yeah, like that's my thing. Like and that's my mom instilled that in me because it's like you go to school.
I've never owned pajamas.
I love pajamas. I got some nice fuzzy PJs, bro.
Boxers,
but there's a time and a place. Even if I shop at home, I won't go tune in my shop in PJs.
No, God, no.
Like if I'm going outside, I'm gonna get naked. I'm gonna fucking put my pants on, my work pants with my knife and my, you do the check, like you do
3 pocket pat down.
Yeah, like I always got my knife, phone, wallet, lighter. Like those are always the things.
Where are your keys?
Keys are here.
So you're like a 4 or 5.
I'm a 4 or 5. I got a lot of shit. I'm gonna Sharpie up here.
I'm a 3 pocket pat down.
I got a lot of EDCs going on here.
I do it, and I'm like, missing wallet.
Yeah,
just
100%.
like that. We can't leave until
if I was in America, I'd have even more. But like, it's
right.
just one of those things that it's like,
yeah.
you can't do that in pajamas or even swim shorts. I hate wearing swim shorts. No pockets. What do you do?
I don't know.
I have way too much shit not to have pockets.
Yeah.
I'm a working class.
Do you think that it's true that some people don't have an internally running monologue in their brain? I've heard that a bunch of times recently.
I 100% agree that I meet people, you meet people all the time. They're just...
What's going on?
You want to get deep on this podcast?
Sure.
I feel that our souls... I'm not a religious person at all. I can just appreciate. I feel like I appreciate different perspectives.
Yeah.
I like listening to every different religion's theories and how they do stuff, especially Muslims. Like people fucking hate on. Like,
gotta appreciate consistency and discipline, no matter what it is.
Dude, Muslims are insane. Like I think we've talked about this before. It's like their dedication to their craft is insane, and I can always appreciate that, even if I don't agree to certain people's theories on certain things. 100%. Like I'm in no place to tell someone how to do something certain, but I can appreciate the work that people put into it. I feel our soul is a driving, defining factor of what we do. You have a bright soul. I have a bright soul. We attract people of the same frequencies and values, and that's why you can jive with certain people, and then you talk to other people who aren't connected on that same
level.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
You can use them. I've been using them.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
That's why you jive with certain people, because you're on the same mental frequency. You're thinking in the same kind of area. So on that point where is in like you don't feel if people are there, I feel people get they're not there because they actually aren't there. Their soul is there.
Do you think their soul less, or do you think?
I think their soul left. I don't think there's soul less. Everyone has a soul. Everyone gets given chances and opportunities, and this is my like spiritual kind of thinking. I definitely I've always listened to what's inside of me, and that rotationally has provided. So that's how I have my, you do the work, and then I have my own opinion of what works for me. I feel if I put the effort into stuff that I think about and believe about and want to put the effort into, it actually becomes a reality. I'm very much that. I think that if you think something, it will happen. You can't just be like, I want $1 million and then open your eyes and be like, wear a Lambo. Like, it doesn't work like that. You have to put the work in.
Every day. Yeah. So we were just talking about how the high level conversation that is impossible to have because our attention spans are taken up by social media, overcoming and making
and people's feelings or beliefs. It makes it hard.
Yeah, it gets in the way.
They're so one track.
Because it's like you got to pick a team, and I'm like,
I don't care. If you want to be a liberal arts designer, no problem. If you want to be Mr. Conservative Pitchfork, I don't care. I'm willing to listen to any. I make my own. I don't let those things define me at all, right?
You can't. Yeah, you can't. So
whereas most people are looking to be defined by something like a movement or like a Black Lives Matter movement. Like that is what defines this person. These things now define my actions, right? With that statement, like this is the type of person that I am by saying
to be so lost that you're finding your identity in something else.
Or my car. It's
kind
the
of
same thing. You see it in car guys too. It's like you let that be you. Like you let this car or these cool wheels on your car now be your persona because the clout, the ego that gets attached to it.
Yeah,
people hype you up, you plateau. This brings back the plateauing thing because I just notice it through, and I think people who actually do psychology and look into this stuff, no, I don't know any about this, but it is measurable. They do see people, the human traits. Humans have personality plateaus and they reach a point, whereas they can be limited.
Yeah.
They can get limited to progression by their own mental thought process.
I feel like I've met enough people through this business now, which has given me very good insight on by no means a psychologist, but I met a lot of people, and you see all of these different, and you've had to interact with all these different types of people and personalities. And then the most interesting thing that I find with communicating with people, because I have to talk to customers all the time, I have to communicate something in a language that they must interpret. So I have to tell you what I'm thinking, but I can't just give you the thought. I have to put it into words
that you might understand now.
That I understand perfectly.
Me and Cam were literally doing it with wiring, and I'm like explaining how to wire a relay, whereas that's something that always was a little difficult for me, but I explained it in a way that I understand it, and it helped him understand it now.
So I got into this conversation, and immediately I realize what level they're on.
Yeah.
I just let a little pause go, and then they give me a response, and I'm like, okay, we're going to go lower or higher here. And I'll ask them, are you familiar with how Ackerman has changed? Are you familiar with this? I have to ask these questions. And if they say no, I better get out my Chinese hat on, where I like Chinglish basically.
Yeah,
where
FDF for dummies.
You read the manuals in a like an Amazon thing on how to build something, and you're like,
best.
This was converted from China to English, and an English version did not write this because it is so basic. They don't leave no descriptive words. There's nothing in there, and
I wish there was a good word to actually describe that, like how you actually are like.
But communicating
English is bad, but like it's like I know exactly what you're talking about. It's buying a part from Princess Auto and just looking at the instructions, and it's like. No. This isn't English or China. Like, what language did this come from? They just took words that kind of worked.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that sometimes I have to talk to people that way.
Tone it down a little bit.
And
even that could be said. Like, what do you mean? You're calling me dumb? It's like, no.
Now, that example is in relation to somebody doesn't know how to install suspension components, in which I'll respond.
Or which ones do which.
You should get this installed by a professional, for sure. But then there's the other side of things where, like you were saying, they just don't see it the same way that you do. And I've had to deal with this, like with my kid's mom, for example. There's just no line that logically there's just nothing there.
You don't think on the same thought train, right? Like you guys aren't on the same.
So if I think something makes perfect sense to me,
doesn't mean that applies to someone else.
And then obviously,
and me and my girlfriend are the exact same too. It's like I need to find ways, because I am brutal, man. Like I'm kind of like you. Like I'm abrasive. I am set in my ways of how I do things, but that doesn't mean that she is also going to do it the same way. So I can't get upset because she doesn't understand what I'm saying, right? Or how I'm feeling. I now need to find a way so that we can. I think a good word you're looking for is finding a common ground to communicate on with that customer. You take these feelers and it's like, okay, I need to find where I'm going with this to talk on common ground so we can actually have a conversation. Mm-hmm. And then you're just not left in the dark.
It was something that Elon Musk was talking about with the Neuralink that he wants to implement into people's brains. Where, are you familiar with that? So he's coming, he already...
Sounds kind of scary.
He already did it, and he already made it, and then you think that sounds scary, and then he explains why it makes sense. So we all have something called missing limb syndrome if you don't have your phone. You feel like part of you is missing.
Same with it's the phone wallet thing.
The wallet and those things are one
they're
thing.
Attached.
But if you go take a dump and you're missing your phone, you're like, I don't have a hand. Where's my hand? I'm missing my leg.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like. And you're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Just like you're missing something. He said that the phone is already connected to you on a neurological path. And there is nothing you can do.
It's trained. Your brain is
You rely on it for scheduling. You rely on it for communication, time, everything. He said, what's the difference between that and a Neuralink? And then
there's nothing.
There is no difference.
Your brain, it's because of how your brain concepts things, and that's what depression and all these things come from, because your brain thinks it's reality.
So the initial concept is to cure Alzheimer's by targeting the receptors that actually forget things and don't remember, and he's reconnecting the paths.
See, that's cool. That's cooler than world domination through robots, which is where I was kind of thinking.
It all starts with this, though. It all starts with we're fixing a problem.
Sucks. Like, if we can fix Alzheimer's, that's good.
So they already have like things going, and that it's proven to work really well.
Enough aluminum, we might need this.
Right. So
I think that's the one.
So the next step is that in order to communicate, languages will no longer be a barrier. I will be able to give you my thought. You'll be able to just download it through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And I'll be like, I know what I'm thinking. I have to give it to you in a language, but I could just give you the thought. That's what he wants to achieve.
That seems whack. That could go bad.
But what? Because
there's a lot of stuff I want people not to know, but that's how they perceive. Because I don't want.
So
them
you're
to
gonna play
it in a certain way.
You're gonna play the devil's advocate because I always play the devil's advocate. So I'm happy you're doing that. So let's see where this could go in relation to where we were in the 80s, 40 years ago. Actually, let's go further. Let's go back to like the 60s when we had vehicles. We had vehicles that ran on carburetors. They didn't have seatbelts. Some of them did. Bench, your radio was on everything was mechanical.
Yeah, you only had AMs.
If you pull the handle, there's linkages that make this go up. And in cars now, it's all electronic, it's all servo. Everything was mechanical, and I loved it actually. Like on machinery, especially.
71 C10. It's like the
machinery, especially. I remember these rolling machines that were coating paper films and stuff. It was irrelevant, but it was in the 70s. You push this button, it's got a linkage connected to the button that goes to something else way over here, and you can feel the resistance, and then you see this thing pop out over here, and you're like, how did they do that? I'm so much more impressed with all the mechanics required to get a button to make something move than a I/O on a PLC or a computer.
Because we're
so much more impressive. So now going back to the 60s, they put people on the moon with rockets in the 60s. That is incredible. So
100%.
Looking back at the 60s and where people were, the toasters, the things that you used every day, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. These microphones, our phones are just considered to be, if you showed someone.
This is crazy. This is someone who thought, just like flying, and I've talked about this so many times. It's like the Wright brothers created flight. How many people were like, you guys are fucking stupid. You're wasting, like, you can't
use air to fly.
Look at us now, motherfucker. Like, we got Boeing 740, like the biggest plane. Like, you can't, how does that fly? Like, stand beside a Boeing, like 747.
Bernoulli's principle. I know exactly how it flies,
but like within, like at the time, it was impossible. And then it plateaued, and they got up, and they got above it. And
if you had this phone screen talking to your friend who's not in the same town and isn't directly connected with a hardwired phone connection, they would be like, what's attached to your phone? That's a battery? How long does it last? Why can I see someone who's in the phone? How is that? They would think there's a little person.
They think you're a Russian spy is what they think you are.
The whole point is that seems insane. So this Neuralink and the AI that is being implemented and used.
Tell that to my grandma who's passed now, but like she was born 1914. Imagine the stuff this lady saw. So like in the times, it's just
the intelligence that's happening now. Unfortunately, like we're gonna have to deal with it. That's why it's important to actually be aware of some of the things that's happening, because I just find information in general super interesting. Yeah, I'm taking in information. Learning. I watched with the kids last night the Rubik's Cube documentary where these kids, they solve Rubik's Cubes on average in 5 seconds. It's their ages 16 to 20. Insane. Most of them have like autism or something, and they hyper focus on this, and they could kick your ass at anything that has to do with numbers, skill, math, whatever. Yep. I could never compete. Their obsession is beyond, it's admirable. We should take some notes.
My dog with cucumbers or a ball.
Yeah, we should take some notes, because these
hyper focus.
5.5 seconds, doesn't matter what the combination, doesn't matter how bad you mess it up. 5.5 seconds, they can do it. So I just love information and looking at the way things are, and I'm using these AI systems, ChatGPT, and I'm just messing around with it, and it's ridiculously
stuff that I don't even want to.
It's ridiculously impressive. Like I'll write an email and then I'll just say, I'm gonna copy paste it in there, and then I'll just say in brackets, rewrite this email just better, just make it better, enter, it spits it out 10 times better. The coolest thing that I did was, which I got as an example, I said, I need to intake 3,000 calories a day plus. I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to buy. Oh, ChatGPT. I'll just go in there. Give me a meal plan, 7 days a week, 3 meals a day. I want 3,000 calories a day. Boom. Instantly spits out a grocery list with what I should eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the calorie count per item of food. I was like, this is amazing. It did it instantly. And then I said to it,
I don't think it's that amazing.
Can you put this in table format for me? And then it just does it. It just makes the days of the week, and then it breaks down the meals per day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the days of the week. So you can just print it off on a nice little, put it on your fridge, done.
Now you can start your own weight training class
with
for
using
people
AI. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's like the bare minimum.
That's our brain process with it.
So guess what's going to happen? The way we're going to have to adapt is learning how to ask the right questions rather than thinking of the answers. That's what's going to be different. This is something that I've already practiced with and tried, and then talking with other people, I've already started to make the shift of asking the right questions rather than trying to think of the answer. It's the most important thing you can do is ask. If you don't ask it the right thing accurately enough with the right details, It won't give you the right answer.
No.
And it's not like you need it to give you the answer.
You just can't do a generic Google search into it.
Google search is going to give you, this is showing you one of 72,000 results. And you're like, which one do I pick?
Yeah.
Well, ChatGPT takes all 72,000. She
just put her paw on my foot. So I'm cute. It's pretty cute. Yeah, I think
she just has to stop panting because I can hear it in your mic.
You having a good time over there? Yeah. Good girl.
So, I guess just being aware of what is out there.
I'm scared.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, but then thinking about like what would have been terrifying to my parents.
Yeah, like my grandma, as I mentioned, like the shit that this lady saw through the time, the internet, even. Like, yeah, the phone, the TV, the color TV, all these things.
Yeah, exactly.
TV in your hand, like internet in your hand. Mm-hmm. Like it's we're the same song and dance. We're just so much more attached to it, I feel, than those generations were.
Here's a question that I argued this with somebody for like an hour. And
let's go.
Do you think, I think Abby's going to have to go outside.
Yeah, we can do this will probably be almost at 30 minutes too, so.
Just let her out the door. We got 15 minutes left. Abby, go outside. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down.
Oh, okay.
She's a good dog. She's like a human.
Great dog.
Yeah. Yeah, she hops up in the bed. She'll just lay down right there probably.
It's probably getting hot in here with the lights.
It is getting hot. So the question, comparatively, let's say two people are on an island. One of them was born in the 60s. One of them was born in the 90s, like us.
Okay.
Millennials. Without knowing anything about their background, let's just assume that they're both identical build, size, physicality. We're not going to take any of that into consideration. Who do you think is smarter and can figure out more problems? You don't have access to a phone. You don't got any of this.
Yeah.
Individual to individual.
It depends because I meet people from all these generations and I can't just be like, there's 2 or 3 types of people from these generations, because then it would be easier. I can be like, okay, this person from 1990 thinks this way, this person from 1960 thinks that way. That person from 1960 thought that marijuana could kill you and it's the devil's lettuce. Okay, now it's 2022 and it's legal and you can get it when the world closes down because it's like alcohol and it's treated in the same way.
It's a great answer.
It can go both ways. I feel with the top characteristics of both generations, they would be amazing with each other. Because I meet older people who do stuff in an old way, and if we think the same. So my
perspective, yeah, I agree with.
But if you have a phone addicted person from 1990s versus I don't like using religion, but maybe someone who is a little over religious from that era, those are both factors that I don't think are good for developmental features in a person, because you've plateaued. You're stuck here and you're stuck here. You will never go above and beyond. So because you think that you don't have an open enough, you're believing what is being told to you. You don't have an open enough perspective to think outside of someone else's skewed opinion. Which is fine. It doesn't make you a bad person for thinking outside of the box, right? Yeah. Like that's what you've been told, so that's how I think. That's not the person I want on the island with me, because that doesn't float.
Exactly.
No, yeah. Man. It literally, I could see it. I can literally see if that doesn't float.
So like, well,
and it can go to both generations.
Yeah, too, right off the bat, nobody is going to see it the same way that you and I are seeing this currently. That was a fantastic answer. The person I was arguing with definitely wasn't.
Because they're looking at it in one way, where they're going to be like, the person from 1990 has had access to the internet. They're going to do so much better than that. Well, the way I look at it is that person from the 60s hasn't had access from the internet and was actually probably taught actual survival skills. Whereas in that person from 1990, there's a small chance that they know actual survival skills. I went to Beavers. I went to Cubs. I went to Scouts. I did these things. Whereas I'm not saying people don't do that now. But
so my perspective was somebody from the 60s, individually, I would argue that without access to information or relying on what they may have learned in their time of being alive, individually would have been smarter and thinking for themselves more.
In that situation to survive,
Let's say, like, when something broke in the 60s, like my grandpa had an entire business off of Mr. Fix-It. He fixed everything for people. Your toaster broke, you don't buy a new one. They're expensive. They're super expensive. TVs are expensive. He'll fix it. Or you would fix it. You would just fix it yourself. Most people just fixed it themselves.
Not today.
You had to tune your carb when that baby wasn't running right.
Oh, your time, it's too much for the winter time.
Exactly. You had to die.
In it.
So all of these things in the 60s, individually, you would have had to do quite a bit more. You would have had to rely on yourself and your own thinking.
Which is a very to do more things. Very good thing.
To do more things in the 90s, like being born in the 90s. So saying we're growing up in 2005, we're becoming teenagers. Yep. I should use a little bit later generation because we still didn't have Facebook until grade 10, 11.
Yeah, well,
right?
Great.
And then the phones they weren't smartphones. So like we didn't really get it.
My older sister's 2 years older than me. And I remember when she went into grade 9 at her high school, she was gifted. She's a really smart girl. But she got into this gifted program and they got laptops in this program and they had Wi-Fi in the school. Where I was Wi-Fi. The internet was so you're telling me I could like
dial-up, man.
Dude, if I remember wanting to go on like play RuneScape.
Let's go. Yes, I was gonna say RuneScape
at like 3:30 after school, and I want to log on, but my mom wants to talk to her friend Sandra. Like I can't be on the I go to log on, and then I get a yell being like, "Turn off that computer," because my mom's she does not sound
RuneScape.
Dude. Like we're playing some mini clip games.
Mini clip, man. This virus is
golden era. I'm
mini
sorry.
Clip,
I'm sorry.
LimeWire. RuneScape was
definitely looking up stuff I should have not been looking up.
That was like my first online interaction, talking, chat to other people.
Yeah.
And this guy had lured me. He's like, just come. He's like, I'll give you some upgraded weapons. I'm only level like 15. I'm like, man, I could use a green sword. I could if I had one of those.
He's like, purple.
And then it gives you that warning going into the forbidden territory where anyone is allowed to kill you. And he's like, the only place I can give it to you is in here. I'm like, okay, I trust you. I go in there, instantly kills me. I'm like,
takes all your stuff.
And I was crying. I was like, all my stuff's gone.
Life lessons.
Exactly. So we had great life lessons where, unfortunately, with my kids, download a game, delete the game. Download a game, delete the game. There's so many games.
I was a big gamer, man.
We all played games.
My dad hated how much I was in. Like, it's my trait. I get obsessive compulsive about shit. So it's like I have games that paved my childhood. Like Legend of Zelda. Like that was one of my favorite games. Mm-hmm. Still today. Like I'm still a big Zelda guy. I like some Legend of Zelda, and that's something that's embedded in my mind. Whereas Fruit Ninja, like your kids' games are replaceable now. They're not going to be remembered. They're not going to look back and remember it like I remember.
Those were core memories.
Great
core memories. And when you had a game when we were kids, you can't just get other games. I was involved. I wanted to finish school, get home, and I was playing that game until I wasn't allowed. Donkey Kong, you couldn't get all
64. Fantastic.
You couldn't
the
even
expansion pack that you
200 golden bananas. That's hard for an adult to get.
100%. Like
if me today playing it, I'd have a problem getting them all because they were hard to get. Yeah. And like Super Mario 64 and all those games.
That's a game. I gotta do what? Beat it. You haven't beat it. You still haven't beat it. And these games were hard, and they stuck with you too. Like Super Mario 64, getting your glove, pulling on his face in the front menu.
Yeah,
like,
man.
these are things that I'm going to say that people are like, oh, yeah. Like, these games are embedded.
Core memories. Games have no value now.
Just like groceries, everything doesn't have value anymore. Like, there's certain, like, even think about how many Mountain Dew flavors there are. I remember Pepsi Blue. When Pepsi Blue, that was hype. Like, Pepsi Blue was like cool. You had to go to certain stores to get it. And then now there's 8 different Mountain Dew. It's just like, what happened to Green Mountain Dew?
Dude, I've said this so many times. The fact
I just want some Green Mountain
I'm
Dew.
like, these chip companies have hundreds of flavors
How do they do
backlogged just so that they can start releasing them faster, because people are like, dude, they're gonna run out of flavors.
Never.
They will run out of flavors, I tell you. This
They will run out of
this is something that people don't like to talk to me about, but I like to talk about it. And then they're like, man, you just think too much. And I'm like, listen, we're gonna talk about it.
You're not thinking enough.
We don't have enough time to talk about it. We're gonna mention it, and then we're just gonna let it marinate. Everything in the world, everything is not going to be sustainable, and that's obvious. That's obvious, but people won't talk about it. I'm like,
Even
do you
just
think
talking about the well at your friend's house, like the water going to the house
it
can't
will
feed the house.
stop? It's
It
stopping
doesn't
now.
have
It's
enough
gonna, and it's like, guys, you can't just keep making chip flavors. They're like, yes, you can. No, you can't.
You just can't keep taking all this water out and charging $1 for a bottle. There's going to be a point.
The flavors they're coming out with suck.
Yeah.
They don't work.
I
Cool
ate
Ranch,
cucumber. We were eating cucumber chips with Jack. Cucumber flavored chips. I fucking love cucumbers,
Man.
but like, you know,
I can't even.
individual vegetable. It's not.
This is
chips.
this one's difficult for people to grasp, but I've looked up the analytics. It's crazy that 76,000 songs a day are being like uploaded
Released.
or whatever.
You can't be a rap star now. You're not 50 Cent.
Dude, how many times? There's only so many octaves. We've heard it all.
Yeah.
But it's only 2023. But we've heard it all. So people make a new song, and
What are all the new hit songs this year and last year?
Nobody knows. Nobody
No,
cares.
dude. Like, oh man, I love Trevor. I fucking hate you, Trevor. This kid, say that he's born in 2005 all the time. He literally, his music tastes are what my mom listens to on like 99.9. He goes out of his way to listen to this generic, mind-numbing, same stuff. And I'm like, people will say the same. I listen to aggressive metal. I like old rap. I like a lot of stuff. But people can say the same stuff about my music. But all this new music's literally taking old songs, man. Listen, like,
you can't. So okay.
They're taking old 80s music, like,
You have to really think about
syllables and reusing it, and now it's like a top track, and it's like
you have to really think about it. But there's
like the Rick Roll theme song, like that's like a top song right now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting Rick rolled over rap. Like, yeah, literally you are. The whole world is being Rick rolled, and this guy's making millions.
So this applies to movies, music, anything that you can think of. It applies to. Like, movies are bad. Like,
I don't watch movies.
Movies are bad.
Yeah.
And the amount that they are coming out on Netflix and the storylines are the same.
I want to watch like The Naked Gun. That's a good movie.
Yeah, there isn't any new storylines. They're all the same. So then you apply that to, okay, well, let's look at something that maybe has some room. No, you look at the Mr. Olympias of exercise now. You can't make a human being any bigger.
They're insane.
It's maxed.
They're
so big they can't walk properly because
they can't fit in places.
400 pounds of solid muscle, and they look. You have 6-pack. They have 8 or 10. Where'd they get the other 2? I don't know. They're injecting 4 different types of steroids.
Skin into muscle. Like
they're like the cows that we inject with steroids to get meat faster, but it's human beings, and they got 4 of them, and they're on HGH, and they're on steroids, and they're on testosterone, T, all the things that PR. Like, I forget what they're called. They're on all of them. They're engineered to be the biggest as possible. So, okay, so we've
He's your Corvette.
We've established we've established the limit. We've established the limit on so many different things. Dude, in 50 years, the ceiling is there. I can see it.
Oh, I'm very aware we are not sustainable.
So like, what 100%. Happens? Because this is the first time in human history where the ceiling.
No, it's not the first time.
Yeah,
a calamity.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's the first
We've never been able to communicate with everyone around the globe before.
I'm gonna leave Trenton here. I'm gonna pass 3 grocery stores that are all filled to the fucking rim with products. Majority of these products, grocery stores operate at deficits. How they make money is by losing money. They account for stolen and wasted material. That's their profit margins. Grocery stores are like disgusting. But that's what it is. And how many grocery stores are there? How many convenience stores are there? How many gas stations are there? What do all those gas stations have? All the Twix, like think of the materials that are all out there.
I am thinking about it.
And what
I think of it all the time. I know you do.
And what Coca-Cola now has to produce to meet up to these standards, to meet all these, and that's just here.
Think about
just here.
They met the max with a glass bottle. That's why you don't see glass bottles anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just couldn't.
So it's definitely not sustainable. No, that's why it's.
But nothing is. So I'm saying, as far as
you should build race cars.
Anxiety, depression, all of this stuff is going to start. Well, it already is increasing at a.
Have you met anyone from 2005 upwards?
The rate that you can measure it is like.
That's gonna offend a lot of people.
It was one.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
It was like 1 out of 10, then 2 out of 10, then 4 out of 10.
I meet a lot of people who are 18. Like but do
they
work
just
for teenagers,
and then they openly say that they just have issues with anxiety and depression, and I'm like, what is that? It's to us.
How did it get there? How did you make it a defining factor behind your personality?
So people use it as
a personality trait.
This is where it's also going to get really offensive. It's an identity. It becomes an identity.
Yeah, just like the cars I was talking about.
That they claim for themselves, which gives them a crutch.
Or the clothes that you're wearing, or the hat that you wear. It's an identity.
So if anyone has any question against your productivity or against whatever they may see, which shouldn't matter, people's opinions don't matter, but anyways, the person who...
In a certain regard, I hold people I surround myself with. I hold my value, like I hold a standard to myself and a value, and if I'm not meeting that, I'd hope that somebody would say something to me, because I'm gonna fucking do it to someone.
You surround yourself with people that will call you out.
100%.
So when I call someone out and they say it's because I have anxiety or I'm depressed, I can't really deal with that, because I think that at a certain level there would have been throughout their childhood or whatever, there may actually be something that I don't understand. I'm not in their 100%. Shoes, but there is also something to be said about constantly identifying as someone who is depressed or someone who has anxiety. So it just
repetition. It's the same. Guess close your eyes and say things. The brain doesn't know any different. The brain only knows what you tell it. If you are always sad and depressed.
Yeah, I wish I could share, like they could share a feeling and I could say, no, I know exactly what that is. Like if they could share it with me. And then, because they always say, you don't know how I feel.
It's the perspective, though.
And I'm like, man, I wish that because I would then say, no, I have felt that before.
And then word it in a way that it would be understood by that.
I've been through a bunch of stuff, so I've had that before, and then this is how I overcame it, or this is, but then they constantly just tell you, and basically your opinion doesn't matter because you don't identify as having it.
You don't get it.
I could easily just say that I do identify as being depressed, and then they would listen to me, but now... What?
No, they wouldn't even want you to listen to you. They just want that exception.
No, I can't.
They get the exception of it. Now they hang out together.
That's full circle of shit.
That's it. Because now you have an adverse opinion of what I feel. So my buddy Tommy, who'd be like, yeah, man, I totally get it. That is a totally logical way of feeling. And it's like, not that it isn't, but they are now going to be more likely to go with these people versus you who are like, that doesn't sound right. If I was to experience it, I would feel it this way. And if they don't agree with it, they're instantly away from it. That's an ego trait. In my opinion, from watching people, that is an egotistical trait that is controlling your ability to move out of what you're in, your plateau.
Oh yeah, it's
an excuse.
You've established your comfort zone. You're now identifying as your bubble, and I'm constantly trying to be outside of it. Like I don't want to be in there. I want to
jump the plateaus.
Yeah, I don't want to be in there. So that I think we're pushing around an hour 40 minutes.
Sorry, Jack.
So I think this is going to be the end of it. But I mean, this is exactly what I wanted the podcast to be talking about, and it just, like, as you're talking, I'm thinking of a response that's, equivalent or goes to the similar level of depth or whatever.
Yeah, same with me to you. I'm trying to relate and build on what you're saying.
And it's really, like, I think if I can manage to consistently do this bi-weekly like I want to, this is going to help. Just if I'm going to take anything from doing this, it's going to give me so much more perspective. And then I was able to dig into that part of my brain that never gets opened. Like, you don't talk about this stuff.
That's what I kind of want to say on top of that is, like, even people watching this, like, this is the discussion you should be having with people around you. If the people you are around aren't having these kind of discussions and talking in the same way, or you're noticing traits that we've mentioned that, like, don't go positively towards this, and you need to take a look at who you're surrounding yourself with, because you're no better than me and I'm no better than you. We are both equally competent people able to push ourselves beyond our limitations. It's the people you surround yourself with are going to set that bar for you.
Yeah.
So if it strikes a chord in any way, you need to have conversations like this with people that you're surrounded with, because then it hopefully hits you again, whereas you're like, this guy's either on it and I really like having these discussions, or then you're hitting yourself.
Makes me feel bad. If you're saying to yourself, that makes me feel bad,
you need to start hanging out with different people, because the circle you surround yourself with is going to instantly dictate what you're going to get out of life. If you're hanging out with people who are going to aid and abet these negative tendencies and features in life, you're
I heard that
get there. You're living for Friday. You got to live for every day, not just Friday.
I heard somebody say that you need to be careful who you share good news with.
100%.
And as soon as you share good news with somebody, based on that reaction, should immediately tell you whether that person should be a part of your life.
Like Jack, I've only known Jack like a week, and I can like go tell this, and he'll be like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, he's hyped about it.
So important.
And there's other people that I know who it's like, I'm not even going to show you certain things I've done or acquired, because I know already. It's not that you're not my friend.
Yeah.
I just already know how you're going to react to it, and it's not that I don't appreciate your reaction. It's just I know you're not going to react the way that I enjoy.
Yeah, it's almost like they make you feel guilty for having success or being successful or being proud of something that you've done.
100%.
And I have felt that.
Must be nice.
I have felt that so many times.
Must be nice, man.
Yeah, I felt that so many times.
Yeah, it must be fucking nice.
It is nice. It
feels really good, actually. You should try it.
Exactly.
It does feel really good.
That's what I like. I've made enough posts to be like, I'm not going to say anything around it must be nice. I've already covered that with the people around me, but they do it in other ways, and they make you feel bad for feeling good. And it's definitely something that you're saying that's what you should do. It's not easy to do, though, to eliminate people that bring you down.
The only way to do is focus on little things that we're talking about, because the first step of change is realizing you can't change like a lot of, you don't know, if you can't see these things happening, how do you expect also someone to change what they're doing if they don't know what they're doing is wrong? It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's literally impossible. You gotta also, the perspective thing. If they don't feel that they are doing anything wrong, like that's a narcissistic liar, or a pathological liar. Like, they don't understand that they are doing more detrimental things by lying compared to the fact that they'd rather lie about something to impress you. They care more about trying to impress you in that moment than the actual and it's a good word for it, like the actual
achievement. What?
Yeah, like the actual value, I guess, that you might have. That's probably still not even the right word. It's like a pathological liar is someone who will make up information to impress. And they don't care that it's false information and that you can easily debunk that information. They get high on that instant gratification.
Yeah. So that goes into like what I talked about being something that we're all guilty of, and it's telling somebody that you're going to do something before you achieve doing it.
You've got the high already.
You got the high. You won't do it.
You're not going to do it. Oh yeah, I'm going to LS swap my car one day.
So the key is,
you know how many people are going to LS swap their car one day? Yeah, I bet you're going to LS swap your car, aren't you?
Yeah. So
everyone's going to LS swap their car.
Until you succeed in silence, you haven't achieved anything.
No, majority of people who LS swap their cars aren't talking about LS swapping their cars. They just do it. They just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Just do it is a very
Nike.
Yeah,
good slogan.
It's a super good slogan. And I mean, it's the same thing. If you're going to the gym and you're posting that you're at the gym, then you probably are at the gym for the wrong reason. Like,
100%.
I'm not there. Nobody knows I'm there. I show up to work.
Who fucking cares if you're there?
Nobody.
You should.
I'm the only one that
cares. You're the only one that should
care.
care.
Nobody else cares.
In the mirror, looking at the mirror, being like, I really need to post a photo of my abs to my followers. You should be looking at your abs being like, I see an improvement from last week. And this work that I put in this week is definitely like, that's it. That's it. But that's not how it goes. But
no, like a lot of people are just there to seek out approval from their
instant
peers.
Gratification.
Yeah, they're going to post it. They're going to do whatever. And that is just it'll put you in a depressive state
fast
by living that type of lifestyle.
Because when it's not there, it's like the phone that you're saying. It's like it's detached. Now you're so accustomed to these.
There was this meme where this guy was just miserable, and then he put his phone over his face, and it was just like this super happy guy, and then he moved it again, and he was miserable again, and it's like it's exactly what's going on.
You're getting your highs, and
we get a high. We put sick stuff on Instagram, and people prove it and say cool stuff.
But even I do it way less than I used to, and you do it way more than you used to.
Yeah,
it's like switched because it's like I used to love posting and interacting on it, but then it also I got detached from it in a sense, because it took away any value. It took away the value of what I'm doing, because now it's like guys like you fucking come in with your 8-to-1 header and your fucking crazy rear suspension, your inboard brakes, and I'm like, I'm a peasant. Like, why am I even? And I watch other guys like Morgan Clark designs, like the guy's sheet metal work is I'm not good with sheet metal. It's like I suck. Like how can this guy literally wake up and make that? Like, I'm my biggest enemy in that sense. And it's made me not want to post as much as I used to. I used to post a lot of stuff. I don't post nearly as much as I used to, because I don't think I'm also making as sick stuff as what is out there now. 4 years ago, I was like, I still got a little ego in there, and it's like, I'm making some cool shit. I'm making custom intercoolers. I'm making bash bars for stuff. But then now it's just the scale of coolness has changed. 500 horsepower used to be sick. 10 seconds used to be. My car made 500 horsepower 5 years ago. Sick, bro. Like, that's a cool car. Now 500 horsepower is like,
it's nothing.
Yeah, that's cute.
What would you consider? What would you consider somebody? What makes somebody great? Greatness. What makes somebody great? There's a lot of options. There's a lot of variables.
That's why I'm thinking, right?
But,
what they leave to other people to interpret, I feel, is like what makes people great.
Yeah. I have a similar definition. I'll say it after you come up with whatever you feel.
It's like being a teacher is a big thing. Like, I love teaching. Like, my main man, Trevor, like, he wouldn't be the man he is today if it wasn't for me instilling my values into him over these past 3 years. Like, he's completely changed because now he has a mentor and a better figure. So to me, I am like an idol. Fucking Trevor, man. Like, I chirp him all the time, but like, I'm an idol to him.
Yeah.
Right. I've never seen myself as like an idol or like an aspiring figure, but then I now look back being 31 and I talk about the stuff that we're talking about, and then I look back, I'm like, that is some good stuff that you should want to like aspire to be and think about, versus a lot of people's like today, like it's really hard to say, because what that is to you and me is completely different as what that is to someone born in 2002 and what they've grown up with now. Like, their idol or somebody that like is a great person, or a legacy. Like, what is a legacy? Like, what defines a legacy? A legacy is what you leave behind. It's the memories you make along the way. It's the stuff you make through your time doing it. And that gets instilled into other people, because it's not going to be here. Once I can get hit by a bus and I'm gone. That stuff needs to be transferable. All the stuff you do and make and putting these videos out is all transferring your skill, knowledge, wealth. Like, it's transferring it all to an accepting next generation. And that, to me, that's a legacy. That's an idol. Like, that's what makes a great person.
Yeah, I would define greatness as like, just greatness is inspiring the person next to you. to be better than they were yesterday.
Yeah, and that's what I think religion and all these biblical times and a lot of these passages, that's why they all share a lot of these same things. And I made a comment before, like I'm not a religious man at all. I didn't go to church. My parents didn't make me go to church. Josiah's family is way more a religious family than me, but the devil loves idle hands. And I hear terms like that, and I didn't get it when I was younger, but now it really hits home because, yeah, the devil does love idle hands. What is boredom? You already mentioned it. You should be bored. You should learn to be able to be okay with being bored and take advantage of being bored.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you...
Do not occupy your minds.
As soon as you can turn it now into a bad thing, that's the devil. That's the devil coming in because he has the idle hands. And now he can get in and get to you in certain ways. But if you keep yourself busy and you surround yourself with people with...
The lessons to be drawn from any religion, specifically biblical ones, like a Muslim religion, are timeless, and they're just they're so relatable. Doesn't matter what generation you live in.
You don't have the time to think negative.
So, and if people are talking about the Bible as in they say the facts are fake, or they just go on and they just talk about everything that maybe historically
they pick one point to make an excuse and throw it all out.
It's like guys.
That's easy to do.
Yeah,
that's easy to do.
All it's doing is this book is basically riddled with examples. It's riddled with examples of how
past.
Discipline does. If you're not disciplined, it's not going to work.
They all share the same song and dance all across the
thousands of years,
thousands of like, bro. I say like we are the smallest speck. Like we are fucking nothing. If you think you're something, like brain check. Like we live in this multi-billion-year-old universe.
So with that said. Because that's a perspective that will give people no hope. So there is also a flip side to that. With the amount of people that live and die every day, yes, it seems like there is no point.
Yeah.
If you look at
there's no point.
If you look at like my small business and how many people's lives are now, changed due to me doing something.
Yeah.
I've been able to touch. Well, we're over 10,000 orders now. So 10,000 people, and then I have so many followers, XY. They
have your 10 plus employees.
They have all been touched somehow by one person. So somehow I've affected, 100, 200,000 people or more. Other people have affected even more. You could also look at it in a negative way if you really like to think negatively. You think your life means nothing. You can't change anything. Well, I tell you one way you could change something. If you just go and turn a hard right on the highway, you'll change everybody's lives involved in that.
100%.
So it's like if you're capable of ruining possibly hundreds of people's lives by just hitting a car head on,
or taking a wrong turn,
you're equally able to affect people's lives in a positive way with the same energy. So
it's abundant. It's immeasurable.
You can say that you are a speck and meaningless, but you can also say that you can have an impact on people that is not like...
And that's our perspective that we have because we're aware of both those things.
So somebody did say that to me and I was like, you can totally be more than just like existing. You can be more than just going through the paces.
You are more than just existing.
Eating.
Right? How did you get here?
Totally.
And what are you, what am I seeing every single day and what am I feeling? Not what you're seeing or feeling. We're different people.
And if you look in the mirror long enough, you start feeling weird thinking about that stuff.
If you look at someone in the eye.
And have
a conversation with someone and look at them in the eyes and don't say words for like a minute, it'll get freaky quick. It gets fucking weird. You might even start crying.
Things start happening.
Yeah, it's weird. We're all connected.
To not have, for most people to look at me crazy and be like, you did what? Like sometimes, not recently.
Because they're already giving up.
I've looked in the mirror for like 5 minutes and I don't even recognize what I'm looking at. I'm like, what am I looking at?
You're just lost.
You're completely lost.
Well, you're meditating. That's what it is.
And you're thinking.
It's a form of meditation.
Yeah, you're thinking about how... what you're seeing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling is
just because you're not on a pillow sitting with your hands up like that doesn't mean you're not meditating.
You have a disconnect from yourself,
which is meditation. You're now out of the reality and you're in your head.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's whack. And it's cool. Everyone
important
needs it,
to try it.
Yeah, everyone needs it, right? You hear these people talk about yoga and you see all these people being perceived as crazy. It's like usually when that happens, I'm like, this person's got some good info probably if they think they're weird and they got a tinfoil hat. Why are they weird? Why do they have the tinfoil hat? They lied to you
If
about
you're
the
occupying
weed, right?
yourself,
like why are you gonna just instantly believe what someone's told you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the maker. I decide what I want to believe, so I can go the extra mile and look into it now. But again, if that's my gut feeling thing. I've always benefited from taking the risks. So when someone tells me that something is not good or bad or shouldn't do a certain, that's why I'm always going to take a step back.
Skeptical
always.
of that
I'm always
person's
skeptical.
opinion, actually. You're
always.
Excuse me.
Thanks, government and the world. But that's why. Like, that's the only reason, because is that actually what you're telling? That's why I've always gotten in trouble. That's why I've never like school.
Learning the hard way is the best lesson.
That's the only way I've been able to learn.
Yeah, the fact that my first roll cage I ever did, I had to cut out and redo, made me the best roll cage builder in the area for a while.
Because you did that.
That's the lesson that's
the lesson,
me.
Yeah.
I will never do that again.
I will never weld that part.
And to an extent, I will never do it again, to the extent of I will be so much better than what the expectation is, that it will be undeniable proof that I am the best, and there is no question because of that.
You mistake. Do that for you too, right? Like that,
of course.
And that's what makes you the person you are now. Because I don't care if fucking Corey Joe Blow thinks my cage job was shit or whatever. I care if my cage job. So that's the defining factor. You're not just trying to get it out the door. You're going the extra mile to make it better for you, so that when you look back at it in 4 or 5 years, you know that you did everything that you could within your power to fix that, and that's a moral standard.
Yeah, you have to do something good enough for long enough to have undeniable proof that you are now the best, and that takes a long time to get there. If you're going to continue to do fabrication, we may never get there. You may never get there, but throughout all of the time that you spend sucking at it, you've eventually become good at it. And people are afraid to do that. People are afraid to be bad at it. The only
reason I'm good at what I'm good at is because I found, and there's like, you see so many memes. There's the one
nobody's
that's
hilarious.
Good at it. Like, baby didn't come out of the womb know how to do flat roofing. Like, you got to just do it, suck at it a bit, and then you get better. Your first bathroom downstairs, it's going to... It looks good. You're never going to do it again, but if you were to do it again...
The funny thing is, it's probably better than some contractors that do.
Bro, yes, 100%.
I'm never doing that again, but 100%, if I did any other shower ever again,
it's going to be nastier than that one.
So nice.
It's going to make that one look like shit.
I didn't even tell you that I did that twice, because I had to tear it all out.
Because you weren't happy with it.
No, because I did the thing backwards.
And the door open?
I put the whole thing together for the door to open the other way.
Oh, so open inside.
Okay, it wasn't that stupid. The door wasn't opening to the inside. Just the track layout on the bottom. Basically the water was going to run off the door and go to the outside of the shower.
Yeah, and go all over the ground. Yeah.
And I just did it backwards. And then I had to take it. It was one little fix. I'm like, just flip that around. Nope. I got to move this. I got to move that. I got to take this. I got to do this. Dude,
redesign the whole wheel.
It sucked. Yeah. Guess what? I'll never do it again.
But
put a shower door in there.
It's getting through the suck that makes us sick.
Dude.
And also having the mortality, I guess is the word I'm looking for, to also feel that you're not sick. Like, we know we're sick, but we don't think we're the shit. And that's going to be a defining factor,
the other lesson,
I feel.
You're definitely going to be able to relate to this. If you think about redoing something more than once, you have to redo it.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to. So I can't believe I kicked myself in the butt for doing the shower again. But let's say I'm doing a roll cage. I make a tube. It didn't fit perfectly. I'm going to keep working around it to make it work.
No.
Bend it a little more. Twist it a little bit here. It
ends up ruining.
It ruins every other tube after that, because they're all compensating for that one mistake.
That gap's okay. It's not fucking okay, man.
I don't ever let gaps slide. But if the tube
but it's that attitude. Okay, I'm making this pipe. Okay, that gap's acceptable. So and then you start making it all, and now it doesn't fit the same way. Now you got to go back. If you just fixed what you originally wanted to fix or should have thought of fixing, this extra piece would have been
Now I have 6 tubes that are all bad rather than just the one.
100%.
Now, if you've never built a roll cage before, here's another example.
And that adds up quick.
I did the shower, and I was like, I knew I have to take all of this stuff apart. So I took apart the hinges. I flipped them around. I offset the door to the inside of the shower so that it would drip inside, but then the seal didn't fit. And then this bracket didn't fit, so I had to make a spacer, because I can at the shop. And you know what? I spent hours on working around the problem. And then you know what? I ended up tearing it all out
and just flipping the door around
and flipping the track. And I had to buy double-sided tape off Amazon, re-double-side tape the whole base down. And dude, if I just did it from the beginning, accepted defeat, and just
started again.
But man, it's a never-ending battle. But if you're not
challenge
yourself, if you don't challenge yourself enough, you'll never feel what we feel. Like you're building an exhaust and I'm building roll cages. At the same time, we're growing at the same rate. Every time I built a cage, I'm like, should I keep using this piece? So the trick for me was, if I thought about it twice, the second that second thought comes to my mind, I'm redoing it. Yeah. There's no question, there's no debate, there's no nothing. I'm taking that tube, throwing it in the garbage, and making a new one.
Scrap.
And the lessons, I built 100 cages plus. You've built hundreds, thousands of exhausts. You've definitely tried to make a couple pieces work.
Man, you should
muffler repairs is not what we're talking about.
Like, but same thing. It's like I'm a hoarder. I keep so much little shit, or like I'll make a bend and it didn't fit right, so I'll throw it in the bucket.
So you have a story of trying to make something work for so long.
All the time, but then I wait till the end of the year, and then every year I have so much offcuts in these buckets that I save because I'm a hoarder, but then I also have my quality of the workmanship. So then when I'm making something, I'm like,
you can throw that in there.
No, I don't want to throw that in there, but I've saved it. I've saved it because it's savable and I don't want to waste money and I can potentially use it in the future. But then someone's also paying me what I want for the thing, and I want to do it one piece the way I want to do it. Yeah. So I'm never going to use this piece, and it sits in the bucket all year long.
Reminding you.
And then Trevor will hold it up to me and be like, can we throw this out? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And then it hurts me. But
that's it.
That's it.
7 o'clock. That's a 2-hour.
I'm so sorry, Jack.
That's a 2-hour podcast.
A bit like you did last year, because honestly what you did last year, I was like, okay, yeah, that you need some balls to do this, to be like, okay, I will stop FD, I will get more seat time, I will get more experience, bigger tires,